right, how's everybody doing?
Doing good, doing good.
Good, good, good. Welcome to the Financial Wellness Ministry monthly conversation. Want to thank you for joining us for this conversation. And if you're on Facebook or YouTube, do me a favor and go ahead and share the post. Be extremely appreciative if you're on Facebook or YouTube. Go ahead and share the post, and we would be extremely, extremely appreciative. Want to present the coordinator of our financial wellness ministry, Sister Kiera Hall.
Hello, hello, everyone. I also want to just welcome you and thank you for being here. My name is Kiara Hall, and today I am really coming from my business space as I talk about financial wellness. I'm a regional vice president with Primerica, and I have been in the financial services industry since 2017. So pretty cool. Going to be coming up on a 10-year anniversary of just diving into the world of finance and helping families. So today I'm going to share how kingdom principles and sound financial strategies can help you protect your family, eliminate debt, build wealth, and leave a lasting legacy. So I created a little PowerPoint just to carry us along. So I'm going to share my screen. Share. And I'm going to make it in, let's see, slideshow mode. Okay, perfect. So Kingdom Economics, Building Wealth with Wisdom, presented by Kiara Hall, Primerica Regional Vice President. And so on the front of this slide, you can see my family. And the reason why I put my family there is because I want you, when you see my family, to think about your family as we talk about different circumstances. And, my family, we have life insurance and, we're saving and working on getting out of debt. And we're doing the best we can to apply the principles that we're learning. And we have goals that we're striving for. Towards. And so today I'm going to be sharing with you the things that I am doing and that I teach my clients to help you to be able to understand just some wisdom when it comes to building wealth and some strategies to where, you can start regardless of where you're at. It'll just be beneficial for everyone. So the first slide says protection, life insurance. And you can see this is a picture of Kai today hanging out with his grandma. And it looks like he's on like a little phone. And when I seen that picture, I hope you would think about your children looking at you. And they probably like, Mama, do you got some life insurance? Are we protected? Like if something happened to you, are we going to be okay? Or are we going to be struggling? Or, your child might be like, Daddy, do you got some insurance, or are you going to leave Mama and us struggling, God forbid, if you were to go? Think about your kids. And a question I like to ask is, if your paycheck stopped tomorrow, would your family still be able to maintain their lifestyle? So maybe you're making $100,000 a year, $50,000 a year. If that money that you have coming in every month, like when we die, we don't get that salary from work anymore. Or if you're actively earning an income, it stops, right? Because you have to be there to make it. So when that happens, will your family be able to sustain? Now, if you have a lot of money saved up, or you already have enough life insurance in place, then your family will be fine. For example, let's say you make $50,000 a year, an adequate amount of life insurance. If you would want your family to, or an adequate amount of money, it could be life insurance or it could even be savings too, would essentially be enough for funeral and burial costs, right? So let's just say $25,000, and then that $50,000 to replace that income, you're going to need about $500,000. So do you have $525,000 saved if you make $50,000 a year, or do you have $525,000 in life insurance coverage that's going to replace that income for your family and keep that coming in? Because if you take $500,000, put in an investment that averages 10%, 10% of $500,000 is $50,000. So there goes your 50,000 a year. And that's why it has right here, life insurance equals income protection. It's a way that you could protect your income for your family, because I believe that, our family, that we're responsible for them. And so just because we're gone, that doesn't mean that that responsibility ends. We want to make sure that we have things in place to leave a will and not a bill, to leave a legacy and not a burden. And so that life insurance will provide immediate income replacement for the family. So if you don't have a lot of money saved, life insurance is an immediate estate. I have $1 million policy. My husband has $1 million policy. And the cool thing is, the younger you are when you get it, the cheaper it is. And so, like, my husband's $1 million policy is less than $80 a month. And so if you're watching, just know the younger and healthier you are, the cheaper your insurance is. Um, and what the other things life insurance does is protects the home. Let's say that you just got a mortgage, a beautiful home, and you're so excited, and you put that down payment, and you got the keys, and you moved to that beautiful new home. Could you imagine if, God forbid, if something happened to you and now your spouse or your kids no longer have your income, but they still want to stay in that home? The mortgage has to be paid. And so you could even have it set up to where your life insurance could cover the mortgage payment, to where the family doesn't have to potentially foreclose on the home or lose it or have to try to sell it quickly. And the mortgage payment is still going to be due. And so even if you can't, like, you might not be able to sell it fast enough before that next payment is due. So the life insurance is going to help to protect you in that situation, to not be under stress. It also can help with education. You can have enough money in your life insurance policy to say, man, if something happens to me, I don't have any money saved up for my kids yet, but I also want to have some money set aside in that policy for my kids, for their future. You might say, okay, I want $500,000 plus income, and then I want $100,000 for each kid, just for their future, whatever it is, in goals. But it just gives you peace of mind knowing your loved ones are covered, and many people will find that it's actually cheaper than they think. And so if you would like a free quote, at the end, I'm gonna, share with y'all my cell phone number, and I could definitely do a free quote, and I'll share the other services that I help people with when it comes to life insurance. But life insurance, I think it is the foundation to your financial plan. The reason why is because without your income, your whole financial plan will fall apart. And so the life insurance protects that income, to where, God forbid, if something happens to you, you can make sure that your family's okay. And I really recommend that to prioritize your life insurance bill. I remember there was someone that I knew that canceled their life insurance, said they would start it back up later, because they wanted to do a big celebration for their child. And so, they went to the theme park and they did all these things. And then within like 2 months, they actually ended up getting a diagnosis, but they hadn't started the life insurance back. And they reached out to me and said, hey, can I go ahead and get that policy back? I need it. And their spouse called and was asking. And I was like, unfortunately, because you have that diagnosis, you won't qualify for what you have for. Now, there are sometimes, regardless of what diagnosis you have, you might be able to get a burial policy or something smaller, but it'll limit how much coverage. So if you had multiple $100,000, $1 million, you risk not qualifying for it. God forbid you get some type of diagnosis. And so the sooner you get covered, the better, because you just never know. Life happens, diagnoses happen. But if you can secure that life insurance while you're healthy, it's just protection. And some people say, well, what if I live till I'm 100? Well, praise the Lord. Like, that's okay. Like, that's good. Think about it like your auto insurance. Like, it's just, you get it, but I pray you ain't got to use it anytime soon. I pray you live a very long time and that you never need to use it. And there's different types of life insurance. There's term life insurance, there's whole life, there's index universal life. And today I won't necessarily get into all the details of the types of life insurance because today I just really wanted to do a basic overview. But when it comes to the type of life insurance, um, many times, well, majority of the time, you can get a term policy for about a tenth of the cost of all the other types of policies. And so, for example, let's say that like my husband, that $1 million is $78 a month. If he were to get a whole life policy, that same $1 million would probably be about $400 or $500 a month. And so what we teach is that you get more affordable insurance, and then the additional money that you would have spent on a whole life or a permanent type of policy that you invest that. And then when you do the math on it, you'll find that, oh wow, by the time my term is up, I have the amount that I had in term in investments and different things like that. And I could run the numbers for you. Doesn't always make sense for every single person. Like, for example, if you're 69 years old and you use tobacco, term insurance is going to be way more expensive than if you were, like me, I'm 35, my husband's 34, it's way cheaper. And so what I found sometimes is for people closer to 70, when I run the quotes, if they're just trying to get like a burial policy, like 50,000, the term and the whole life costs about the same. But here goes where you'll start seeing the difference. If you're getting $1 million, you'll start to see that even the term is even cheaper for someone older. So it really is just all about the math and just seeing, okay, what makes the most sense for my life, for my goals. And what I like to do is help families get the coverage that they need, that they can afford, and then help them to be in a position where their investments grow. And we'll talk about investments, but many times someone might get a permanent policy and then they're not able to get enough coverage. Like I'll find people that are my age and they got a permanent policy. Like I used to have a permanent policy, but I paid $200 a month and it was $150,000 of coverage on me and $150,000 on my husband and none on the kids because all I could afford was $200 a month. And now for less than $200 a month, we got $1 million on me, $1 million on my husband. So, and we got it locked in for 30 years. So it gives us that time, flexibility to get out of debt, save, grow. Also in 30 years, the kids will be grown. Like it just puts us in another position where we can still build wealth. And then the cool thing, about our policies is that they are convertible to age 100. And so basically what that means is that when the term is over, we can continue to get an affordable term without any new health checks. And so there's so many different things. I could go in on this topic, but the biggest thing I want to say is you got to ask yourself a couple of questions. You got to ask yourself, if my paycheck stopped tomorrow, like God forbid if my life ended, then my check not coming in anymore for my family, would they be okay? Or do they depend on my income? Is my income important for my family? In some families, they can live off of one spouse's income. So if one income goes, they still be okay. Then you probably don't need insurance, right? It becomes a want instead of a need. But if your family depends on it, their basics can't be met without your income, and you don't have enough saved up to protect them, then you gotta see if you can qualify and get some life insurance. Another thing I want to point out is sometimes people might have insurance only through work. Or you might have a policy you got a long time ago, and you really don't remember what you got or any of the details about it. I think it's really important to go back and ask a couple of questions. One time there was someone, they were paying about $100 a month. They had a policy. They thought it was a pretty good policy. The amount of coverage was right. It was what they needed. And then there was this clause in their policy that said that if they died from unnatural causes, like a heart attack or things like that, it wouldn't pay out. And I was like, wow, that's really crazy. And so it's really important that that Nala, you got to go talk to daddy because I'm in a meeting. You can't talk to me while I'm in a meeting. Um, sorry. And so it's really important that you check out what do you have. Another thing is one time there was someone I know, they thought they had about 500,000 of coverage. And when they told me how much they paid for it, I knew something was off. They were like, yeah, I got like 500,000. I paid $20 a month. I was like, when did you get it? Like when you was a baby? Like, that's really cheap. And so I was like, would you be open to allow me to review it with you to make sure you really have what you think you have? And when we went over their policy, what they found out was they only had about 25,000 of like a term, and I forget how long the term was, and the rest of the 500,000 was accidental death and dismemberment, which is like a lottery ticket. Because you don't how you get paid when you die depends on like it depends on how you die. It has to be an accident. And it's really like a lottery ticket. Like that's not something you count on. That's kind of one of those things where maybe you get it because you can't qualify for nothing else. So at least something is better than nothing. But that's not really a dependable type of policy that you set your family on. So it's really important that you know, what do you have? Are there any exclusions? Are there any clauses? What are the details? I had one couple, they had a great policy, but their children were very young. Their policy was going to be ending in about 10 years, and their renewal rates for the policy was over $1,000 each, and that just wasn't in their budget. And so I was able to help them go ahead and replace that now as something more affordable to secure them for the amount of time they needed to continue to have the coverage. So you got to be thinking, am I properly covered? Do I have enough coverage to where my family could be taken care of? And do I have the right type of coverage? Is it going to show up for my family? Is it going to be what I need? And this is something worth looking into, and I will do a completely free review for you. Sometimes those policies can be anywhere from 60 to 300 pages. And you don't necessarily know what you're looking for. And so if you have a professional, it's like me, I'm not a professional mechanic. I call Mr. Henry, and he knows very quickly exactly what I need. He gets the job done. I'd rather go to a professional. We had to get some struts for our car, and putting struts on a car can actually be very dangerous. It could kill you if you don't know what you're doing and you ain't got the right tools. And so sometimes it's worth it to have a professional help you. And I think that having a professional review some things and help you with your finances is even more important than your car, because that's your legacy, right? That's making sure your family's going to be okay. That's going to last for generations. That's going to allow you to not only make sure your kids are straight, but your grandchildren, and just make sure that you have things set for your family. So before I move on to our next slide, where we'll talk about eliminating debt, does anybody have any comments, questions, or thoughts on anything that I've said so far about our foundation, which is life insurance?
Not yet.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide. Next slide says eliminating debt stacking. So when it comes to eliminating debt, the way you see me and my husband smiling on this picture, I feel like y'all gonna be smiling just like that when you are debt free. It's gonna be like, praise the Lord. It's gonna be a party. You're gonna be excited and happy, right? Debt is one of the biggest wealth stealers. Strategic debt stacking pays off debt faster. When you do a side-by-side comparison of doing a debt stacking strategy versus just paying extra here, there, like sometimes what people do is they just pay extra on all of their debts. And what they don't know is they could be out of debt 10 or more years faster by doing debt stacking, which is a strategy where you target one debt at a time in a particular order that's most efficient. And I have a software that like calculates the order in which you should do it. But let's say that you were paying $10 here, $20 there, $50 there across all these different debts. And the total of extra amount you're paying on top of your regular payment, let's say it was $300 a month. Instead of spreading it out across all the debts, you actually want to take that whole $300 and put it on one debt, and then you after that debt is paid off, you take that 300 plus the money you're paying on that debt and you add it to the next debt, and that is what's going to get the debt paid off sooner. And I've seen people pay off debt, get a plan to where if they stick to it, that they'll pay off debt 14 years sooner. And then the cool thing is when you eliminate that debt, you put yourself in a situation where now you have freed up money. And so you maybe used to have, like, let's say you're making 5,000 a month and you were paying $2,000 towards debt. Once that's free, that's a free $2,000 in your budget that now can be used towards financial goals. And then when you take that money that was freed up by the debt and you invest it, maybe right now you're like, oh, I'm not in a position where I can invest. Things are tight. But if you get debt free 14 years sooner, now you invest that $2,000 a month freed up. Now you can still hit your retirement goals. So I've seen people who can invest right now, they can't really save right now, money's tight. But when they get their strategy, they see that, oh, if I stick to this, when I'm debt free, now this is an extra $1,000,000 or 500,000, or just depends on your scenario and how much your debt is. But you see, is I've seen from hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars extra to be in your retirement, to where at one point you thought you wouldn't hit a retirement goal and now you can because you got a debt strategy. And so I'm a financial professional who does debt elimination strategies for my clients. And so I just wanted to just share a little bit of information about that. If you want a free debt elimination strategy, at the end, I will share my contact information, or you can message me on Facebook Messenger, or you could go on my website. So just before I go on to talk about investing and personal pensions, does anybody have any questions or comments on debt at all, or any thoughts on that?
No.
All right. All right. So let's talk about investing and personal pension. So when it comes to investing in a personal pension, many times people think that the only way you can have a pension is through a job that offers a pension. And a lot of jobs don't offer pensions anymore, right? It used to be like the standard, and now it's rare. But here goes the thing. You actually can have a personal pension. And so what investing does is it allows your money to work for you. And then I just want to talk, there's many ways you can invest. You can totally go and invest all on your own. I want to share the benefits of working with a licensed professional like myself. So when you work with a licensed professional like myself, you will get diverse investment strategies. So not just simply trying to, figure it out and talking to random people. Like, you will actually get investment strategies that are going to look at your goals, your desires, your fears, everywhere you are, and help you with a specific strategy to help you towards your goal. Also, you get long-term wealth building. Sometimes people might invest, to make some quick money or do something here or there, or they're not 100% sure what they're doing. But you get long-term wealth building. You get market guidance. Many investors lose because they invest with the headlines instead of their head. They invest emotionally, and so they allow the stock market to dictate what decisions they make, and so fear becomes their guide as opposed to wisdom. And so when you work with a licensed financial professional like myself, you have somebody who has studied the history of the stock market. They understand how investment works. They look at hypotheticals. They've passed multiple tests. I have my Series 6, my Series 63, my Series 26. I've passed multiple investment tests. Super educated and knowledgeable. I have gone to, I don't know how many hours. Like, I'd probably say 1,000 hours worth of training, traveling, just learning and growing and becoming an expert in the area. And so when you work with a licensed professional, you get that expertise on your side. And then it helps you to create your own personal pension for retirement security. It helps you to be in a position where you can have a game plan to last, beyond you, and just to help you reach your retirement goals. And so I will say this, when it comes to a live meeting on Zoom, I cannot get into details. And the reason why is whenever I talk about specific investments and specific details, I have to make sure that every person gets a prospectus. I don't know every person who's watching this, and so legally I cannot go into details on stuff. But if you want, I can do a one-on-one meeting with you because you might be wondering, well, what specific things can I invest in based on my goals? And also, I wouldn't want to share that anyway because you have somebody who retires in 5 years watching, and you have somebody who retires in 30 years watching, and you're not going to have the same strategy for those two people. And so, if you want a specific strategy for you in your retirement goals, feel free to reach out to me and I can go into specific investments, get you the prospectuses, get you the information, teach you all about mutual funds, annuities, and teach you about whatever it is you need to know and answer any questions you have. And my clients, whenever they invest with me, the biggest thing they say is, wow, you made it so simple. Like, I thought investing was this confusing thing, and you made it so easy. And so that's one thing you can count on with me is that when I teach it, it's going to be at a level to where even your fifth grader could know what was going on. And the cool thing is, not only can you invest for yourself, but children can have investment accounts, anyone. Um, and so you could get your kids going. Make sure that especially like if your kids are working a job, have them let some of that money invest and grow for them, for their future. And don't waste it away on name brands and things that really don't matter. But they can begin to prepare and have money set aside for the future. And if Jesus hadn't come back yet, then they can enjoy it. If Jesus comes back, then they get to enjoy Jesus. But I still think it's worth investing and saving for the future. Even if you think the world is going to end next year, just plan for tomorrow. And worst case scenario, make sure you have some soul insurance too. Make sure that you're saved. Make sure that you're not going to go to hell so that you'll be happy either way, whether you get to enjoy your investments or you just get to go to heaven and live with Jesus. Make sure that you plan for your physical future and your spiritual future. So that is my say on investing in personal pensions. Anybody have any thoughts, questions, comments, or anything before I go on to legal and legacy planning? We'll go a little bit into the legal stuff.
And so when you're doing long term, how since you've been kind of guided by a professional, how much attention should you pay for it? I mean, pay to it. And when I say when I say when I'm so when I say that, I mean, is this something that you're watching every month, every quarter, every year? How much attention should you pay to what's happening before you start kind of panicking and wanting to do something different?
That's so good. So, okay, so I think the first thing I want to address, because I don't think you meant to say it, but I still want to address it. Because you said pay for it, but I still want to talk about that, about like what it costs for a financial professional, even though that's not what you meant to ask. And then I also want to talk about paying attention to it. I want to talk about both.
Yeah, paying attention was mine.
Yes. So let's talk about paying for it real quick. There are so many different ways you could pay for a financial professional. I know some financial professionals, they charge a flat fee and then they charge a percentage. So like one of the professionals I know, he charges $2,500 for like a whole plan. The interesting thing is, it's literally the same thing I do for my clients, completely free. And then when you talk about cost of a financial professional, particularly with me, the way that I get paid is from the 12B1 fees from the product. So a 12B1 fee is basically a fee that is in every mutual fund. And what it does is it covers like advertising costs, print, it covers the money managers and financial professionals like myself. And it basically is not a fee or anything that you pay like addition to it. It's just, for example, let's say the 12B1 fee was 5.5% on a class A share. Basically, class A means that long term, you don't, how do I put it? You pay up front, but you don't pay on the growth. And so let's say you put in $100 and the sales charge was 5.5%. and that this varies depending on what investment you choose. So $5.50 goes towards all the 12B1 fees, financial professional, everything for every 100. And then the rest of that money is invested. It can grow and is allocated. And I always show people an example of like what the growth looks like. And I've had clients who maybe had like I don't know if I'm allowed to say company names, but they've had companies that don't charge a fee. Like one starts with a fee, and then I've showed them a comparison. Okay, here goes what you have and there's no fee. Here goes what I have and here goes a fee. And when we do a hypothetical, we push it out 20, 30 years. My even with my fee, it outperforms. So it's not about fees, it's about just what is gonna make you the most money, what's gonna give you the best opportunity, what's gonna be the safest and give you the most opportunity for growth. Now that's the whole fee side. I wanted to address that, even though you didn't mean to ask that. But how should you pay attention to it? So when it comes to my clients, I do annual reviews. Another thing I do is I have check-ins where I just reach out. And what I would say is your plan is a set it and forget it plan. And you should check on it as often as you want. And before you make any moves, the most amazing part is when you have a financial professional, you can, like myself, you can call me and say, hey, I'm wanting to make this move. This is what I'm thinking. What do you think? And then you can get some reason in the mix. That way it's not just emotion and then you can gain some understanding about what's going on in the market. It's one thing to hear about it, it's another thing to be in it. When you're in it, it can be a little scary. But when you have a financial professional, they can help comfort you and guide you. Sometimes it might be necessary to make a move, and sometimes it won't. It really just depends on one, the move has to be a beneficial move, and number two, like it has to make financial sense, and continue to line up with the goals. But many of my clients, when they're afraid, many times they can just get some education and now they're not afraid anymore, and so then they don't make a move. But I have some clients who log into their accounts like every day, which is fine. Like I have some clients who text me, they're like, hey, what about this? What about this? They ask me million questions and now they're super confident and they refer tons of people to me. So just check it based on your comfort zone, but know that it's a plan that you really don't have to check it all, because it's a set it and forget it type of thing. And I check in and I'm constantly knowing what's going on to the market. I'm getting updates every day. But when I set the plans, I set long-term plans. I don't do short, you got to make moves and shift this and sell this and the market is changing this and that. I make plans with understanding there's going to be a depression, there's going to be a recession, and this plan still work well even in the midst of all of that. And the cool thing is whenever I show my clients plans, I will run back to right before '08 and '09. And I'll show them like, look, if you invested right before this crash, here goes how you do. And so if you can do well investing right before a crash, you're going to be fine. So I always show my clients worst case scenario up front so that they can be prepared and even see that it's beneficial even in the midst of that. So does that answer your question about like paying attention and all that?
Yeah.
Awesome. But yeah, and cool thing about working with me is you can text me anytime, you know. If you are working with somebody at the bank, they're gonna have limited options, and also you can only reach them Monday through Friday. And so, you know, with me, you get that flexibility of, hey, she's available to chat on an evening, and you know, it really brings my client a lot of comfort to, you know, be able to, you know, reach out and just have that, you know, easier connection, be able to meet on a Saturday and things like that. All right. Any other? Oh, and I forgot to mention that whole personal pension concept. Basically, I just want to share you don't need an employer to set up lifelong income. You can create your own retirement security with a financial professional. So that's possible to create on your own. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Back to the insurance piece.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so you have some people, you have somebody that, you know, the person died and people might not actually know, the people that are left might not know what you had in place. Do insurance
Right.
companies, do they search that? I mean, how do they identify that that someone is deceased, and then I mean, does this, because I know like in the state of Florida, there's some funds that's just sitting there that's been, you know, nobody's claimed. with insurance policies. I mean, how do people kind of identify people that might be, that they didn't necessarily know died? Um, is there an active part on insurance companies to make sure that people that hold policies are still living?
You know what? That's so there was do you remember that 60 Minutes show? I think it was like ABC, but they do articles, they talk about stuff, the 60 Minutes. Anybody remember that show?
I remember it was a news show called 60 Minutes.
Yeah, so there was like this whole production about this. And basically, there were about 25 different life insurance companies that were being sued for so much money because people had life insurance policies and the beneficiaries did not know, and the companies were just holding the check. They didn't notify nobody. But then here goes what made it worse. Not only did they not notify people, the same people who had life insurance, some of them had annuities. They turned off the annuity but didn't notify about the claim. So it was like, the person died. Oh, and they kept taking out the money for the premium too. So there was like this big lawsuit against lots of companies. You'll know the names. And so this is one of the things that makes me really proud about my company is that my company was founded off of a frustration with the fraudulence that was happening and people being taken advantage of and not being treated fairly in the life insurance industry. And so I can't speak for every life insurance company, but for mine personally, we do researches to find out when people die, and we actually reach out, especially when it was an incident where like the gay nightclub was shot up in Orlando. We would do a research to see where any of those people are clients, or 9/11, things like that. We would do a research and constantly searching to keep an eye out for who died. And I remember one time this lady died, and I guess the agent who sold her the policy wasn't in the business anymore, and so my company did a research and found the lady, and then they actually reached out to our team and asked us to reach out to the lady. They were like, hey, this is her number. You're local in the area. Can you reach out to this person, or do you want us to reach out? And so my company, we personally play an active role in searching and reaching out. I go the extra mile. When someone passes away, I don't want any stress on my clients. And so what I personally do is I prepare the death claim. I already know all the info for the deceased. So I literally prepare the whole death claim. I get the signatures, I send everything in, and I take all the weight off of my client so that they can grieve. And I'm the one who handles making sure everything gets done. I'm like, look, just send me that death certificate and I'll prepare everything for you and just get the signatures I need. And then I actually, for people who are not too far, I will like physically deliver the check. And the fastest check, I remember one time, this one lady passed away. She called me. She found me on Google, but she knew her mom had insurance with our company. She found me on Google. Within 6 days from her calling me, I delivered a check. And so it's not always that fast, but the average time with my company is about 14 days. Now, the only thing that could potentially slow that up is if you're within that 2 year initial period to where the company is allowed to do some research just to make sure. And so that could slow down the process a little bit if they do some research just to make sure it wasn't any funny business going on, like no lies or things like that. But
Do you know if
but yeah,
insurance company?
so
Do you know if
people
insurance?
got insurance out there and they don't even know.
I'm saying, do you know if insurance companies have some type of
Oh,
database to where somebody, like, say if somebody's spouse died,
mm-hmm.
there's some type of database that where insurance companies are connected, they can type a name in to see, if this person has any. Um, if
There's
this,
a Florida website where you can go on the state of Florida and claims, but that's not for new stuff. Stuff doesn't show up in there until it's set for a while. There's also the Florida Department of Insurance, or whatever the Department of Insurance with your state. You can search directly with the insurance department that oversees insurance companies to help you. Um, and then the other thing is it's a old school method, but you can search through the mail. Search through the home, search through the mail, and see if you see any insurance company info and call every insurance company. It's not quite like a clean cut because there sometimes is a delay between the person died, the death being reported, and then the information of the insurance going to the agencies that you can search. So the quickest way sometimes is if you have access to that person's home is to like look through the mail and search and see even look through the computer if you have access to it and see if there were any saved sites, like did they have any insurance company saved there that they visited. That way you could just call that company directly.
So people really need to be diligent about one, making sure that they have wills in place, and then two, um, um, something in place to where, in case of some type of life, end of life situation, to where they have loved ones that they've kind of given instructions as to where all the information is, because I could
Yes.
see so much money being left on the table when people actually
Yep.
did put things in place. Because our ancestors, even though they were little small policies, our ancestors made sure that they had stuff like that in place. But I don't think the people that they worked with were so honest to where they were diligent about making sure that
Exactly.
families understood that. So we gotta really teach that in our churches too. Actually,
Yes.
when Trina, we had a wheels seminar um, at Greater Bethel, and the lady mentioned a certain type of she mentioned something called ladybird deed, and
Mm-hmm.
so that information was helpful to me, to so that when my sister died, and she just made sure that she put everything in my hands so that I could make sure that the children got what they needed. But she was real clear on everything that
Yeah.
needed to be done. So it made, it helped the grieving,
Yeah.
with her having everything in place, and having me having all that information. But some people, it makes the grieving so much more difficult because that stuff is not in place.
Yes. Was that Sarah Dix that you spoke to, who I brought on for the financial wellness ministry? The white lady?
I can't remember. I just know that we had somebody that came and talked to us about a ladybird deed, and
That was
so
Sarah.
and so
I
I
remember that.
and so that was something that we went and jumped on quick, and not all attorneys agree with it, but it made our situation real easy. And so now that
Yes.
we don't we all that is all resolved now, and
Yeah.
but it made but so you got to get some kind of information to see what works for you,
Right.
but it just makes the grieving process so much easier because you don't have that burden on you.
Yeah. And an attorney can help you to know, they can kind of go through and help you to see what makes the most sense for you. That actually leads into our next topic very well, which is legal and legacy planning. Oh, and one thing I do want to say about the insurance before we move on, something that I think is so important is that you communicate with your family. And so I have, my parents know I got this policy. This is how much, I call and say, hey, this is what I got going on. If something happened, this is what I want, and then you might need to review it because somebody might not remember. And then you might need to put it in writing. Like me and Cody, we have our will and living will, power of attorney, all of our legal documents. We have it listed in there too, what we want as well. And so I think it's really important that you have those communications. One thing that I do is I request the contact information for beneficiaries. And so when I am helping a client, I will have my client send a text to their beneficiary saying, hey, I listed you as an emergency contact. Kiara's going to contact you. And I explain to them that, hey, you were listed. I don't let them know how much the policy was or even like their specific role, but I just say, hey, you were listed as an important contact. So if anything ever happened to this person, I'm the person that you want to reach out to help. Here goes my number. Here goes my corporate number. And then also I say, if it's okay, I want to be able to put you on my email campaigns. That way, because I know you might forget this conversation 10 years from now, you can get the happy birthday and happy holidays from me, and you'll always remember, okay, this is who I need to talk to. And so I actually built relationships with beneficiaries. And many times when I talk beneficiaries, I end up helping them out with making sure they get plans in place too. But I think this is something families should plan and talk about together and help one another out, um, and just communicate. And so this is really good conversation. It's really important. I pray that people are being inspired and making decisions. And even if you're in a really tight spot financially, like oatmeal is better than no meal. Like some plan is better than no plan at all. Like maybe you can't afford what you want to get everything, but something is better than nothing. Like I have a friend who just passed away 2 months ago. She was young, both of her kids under 13 years old. And I am so grateful that even though things were tight for her, that she listened to me when I said oatmeal is better than no meal. I said, look, let's just get the most we can within your budget. And that's what she did. And I had no clue that in less than 2 years she would be gone. But what I did have a clue was is that tomorrow's not promised for any of us. And so it's really important that we make a plan and that we stop procrastinating on it. That we make a plan as soon as possible. Like stop procrastinating. Just make a plan. You'd be surprised. Like I have people, they're like, all I got is $50 a month. I said, boom, $25 a month going towards life insurance, other 25 going towards investment. And shockingly, it's better than nothing. Because if you're able to get 150,000, that is better. Even if it's only a 10-year term, it's better than nothing. And then you lock it in. So if something happens to your health, guess what? At the end of that term, you get guaranteed renewability. So don't delay. Plan. Don't delay. Just set a time, sit down, make that plan. So let's talk about legal and legacy planning. So wealth protection includes your wishes and your family's future. And so everyone should have advance directives, for your medical decisions, your trust, your wills, it helps transfer your wealth properly. It prevents confusion, delays, and unnecessary costs. I have a service that's really amazing. And this is new. So the last time we spoke about the legal planning, I was referring a lawyer to do the trust because it was like the best I've seen. And then my company came out with something new that is even better now. So now I don't have to refer out for that. And so I'm really excited. I'm able to help people to get husband and wife to get their will, living will, power of attorney, and trust for $300. That's huge. Okay. And that's only for one. So if you need two separate trusts, that'd be another $250 for the second trust. But that is still amazing and better cost and with great lawyers than anywhere I've ever seen. And so it's just really important to get it done. You can get it done very affordably. It doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. And then the cool thing is you can update them. And maybe your family grows, maybe things change. Don't delay because a change is coming soon. Go ahead and just get the things in place. And when you get those things in place, you can talk to a lawyer and let them know about the change coming, to see what you can do. But just don't delay because tomorrow's not promised. So legal and legacy planning is very important. And because of companies like mine, and there are other companies out there that do it as well, it is made affordable to where everybody can do it and you don't have to be shut out. Because in the past, or even now still, it can cost anywhere from $1,600 to $2,500 to get a legal plan. But now, less than $350, you can get all your stuff done for you and your spouse and really get your stuff in order. And that's a very phenomenal price. And let's say maybe you can't get the trust done for less than $50. You can at least get your will, living will, power of attorney, everything for you and your spouse, even less than $40. So it's very affordable and you can get started and get things going for your family. The other thing I want to point out is insurance savings. This picture over here is me and my daughters. I just threw the family pictures to bring some life and make the slideshow fun. But many families may overpay on auto and homeowners insurance. I have a service that will shop and see if it can save you money. And I've been able to help many clients save. And when you save, you free up money. $1 saved is $1 earned, and it helps you to reach other financial goals. So pretty simple. And complimentary financial checkup. And so I use Be Dollar Smart. It's a service I pay for with my business. I love it. It allows me to help clients get a financial checkup in just 5 minutes. And it basically provides a financial snapshot to identify opportunities to cut expenses, eliminate debt, increase protection, grow wealth. And it is complimentary. Complimentary means free. And so if you saw any of this info today and you thought, wow, like I really like, kingdom economics. I like, just using wisdom, making sure I got me some soul insurance and some life insurance. I really want to protect my family's future. I want to be debt free. I want to build lasting generational wealth. You can start today with your free checkup. Sometimes it's a lot, and it's like, where do I start? An easy place to start is to get a free checkup. If you would like to get a free checkup, text checkup to 352-226-7301. That's my cell. Or you can message checkup or whatever questions you have, feel free to message me. But yeah, I pray that someone's watching this today, they were inspired, they were refreshed. They can go and make sure that they have a really solid bulletproof financial plan. And if you're watching today, maybe your finances are in order, and that's awesome. I still think it's worth it to get a checkup because you never know. It might show you a couple areas where there can be improvement, or worst case scenario, the checkup might say, hey, everything's great. You don't need to change anything. But it's always worth it to get a checkup. Just like we go to the doctor, we get a checkup on our health, we might feel great, but it's just good to get a checkup and make sure that everything truly is great. So that is the end of my presentation. Does anybody have any comments, questions, or thoughts?
No, a lot of good information. A lot of good information.
Awesome sauce. Awesome sauce. Well, I just want to say thank you again for tuning in. I pray that it was a blessing. I pray that that it was very valuable to each person who watched. And also, share it. Make sure you share this. This can bless someone else. Great people to share it to is someone who maybe just had a baby or they're about to have a baby. They're starting a family. Even that young person who has no responsibilities yet, they can get a head start learning about these things early. That person who's about to retire, you know, um, anybody, just share it. If you love them, share it. If you don't love them, still share it because we should just share and help people and make a difference, and just be a blessing to people. So that is it.
All right, all right. Want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank Kira for valuable information, and we pray that you share it, share this information, so that we can make sure that we capitalize on. Bible says people perish for the lack of knowledge, and a lot of times we make mistakes for the lack of knowledge. And so, please get this information, use it, so that we can build generational wealth in our neighborhoods, in our communities, in our families. But you all have a great one. Got prayer meeting tomorrow at noon, and got Bible study at 6 virtually on the same bat channel. God bless you and have a great one.